Welcome to Sculpt Studios. This is the Big Bird project. We were approached by Dave Glass from Hungary Castle with the idea of creating a large yellow bird to be a feature at the secret garden party. The idea of the feature is that when people pass beneath the bird and walk in between its two stalked legs, the bird poos custard on them. Apparently this is supposed to be something lucky. These were the original concept images we were given, showing that they wanted Sculpture Studios to create a 3 metre tall by 2 metre wide body section and the 2 feet, and that the scaffold legs would be added later. We began by mapping out the large body section on a piece of tissue paper, and we simply scaled up and projected the original concept images straight onto the tissue so that we knew we had exactly the right shape. We then transfer the image onto the polystyrene, and Aden goes to work with the hot wires, basically cheese slicing the polystyrene to get a really rough form of what the body should look like. The shape is then honed down further, using nail brushes and wire brushes, to round off the flats and points created by the hot wire. These 3 tools allow the sculptor to remove the material quickly and achieve the even orb-like form he's after. As this isn't strictly a geometric shape, Aden judges it by eye and takes off what little more he needs to make the shape as evenly round as possible. Once the shape is finished and sanded, we go with the familiar routine of adding a sticky back foil layer. This layer protects the polystyrene from the resin we're about to put on, which would simply burn through the poly if the foil wasn't there, so we need to make sure there aren't any breaches. As you can see, Aden has carved hemisphere-like forms for the joined body and head that are symmetrical on either side if you were to split a line dead down the middle. 2 casts will be taken from this pattern, as you can see the first one being made here, and the symmetry ensures that the edges match up perfectly when the whole shape is turned round and joined from the other side to complete the whole body. We usually wax the foil so that the fibreglass can pop off the job quite easily without too much effort. Here's the first cast being laid up, and here's the second identical cast taken from the same pattern, ready to be popped off the job and joined from the back. These little dark strips you can see are pieces of lave that we've tacked on the inside of the job, so that when the second fibreglass shape is offered up on top, it's held in place while we laminate the two together. As we hoped, the peripherals of the top and the bottom piece matched up perfectly, so the job went together really well, and the edges are just cleaned up once it's been laminated. With the body made, we began working on the tail, the feet and the features on the bird's head. Once again we followed the sizes specified in the images and scaled up accordingly so that it would be in keeping with the body size. Sometimes there are minor details which aren't always included in the concept images, so we use our initiative and do what we feel is best for the job. Like here for example, we've added a slight curve to the inside of the top beak, and the bottom beak, rather than just a flat surface, we've given it more of a 3D tongue. We foil all of these shapes before they're fiberglassed and make sure that the beak's strong, as it could be a large gripping point for when the object's being moved, and make sure that the feet are also quite strong, as these are going to be on the ground and they're going to be within touching and kicking distance of the public. One of the trickier parts of the job was working out where all the extensions would fit onto the main body. With an object this large and this round, it was often difficult to measure all the way round the surface or measure up from the floor, so we had to stand the whole body up to get the tail nice and straight and lay the body down, as you can see here, so that we could get the beak in perfect position in accordance to the image we were given. As we were only creating the sockets for the scaffolding legs, we needed to make sure that these pieces were dead straight, as it would determine where the scaffold legs would be directed when added on site. Here we are just creating some small hemisphere bubbles to be placed above the beak as its eyes. We also did the same thing with the hair, as you can see here, where the client wanted a kind of cartoon plastic look hair effect. We had to work out where the hair would be placed and where the hairline would come down to, based upon the images we were given. These would then need to be foiled, added on, and then laminated to the head itself. Here at Sculpture Studios, it's not uncommon for us to be working on more than one project at any one time. Therefore it's nice to get a few extra people in to help out around the workplace. Likewise, with a large job like this where we've got a time and a deadline to meet, It's good to have a few people working on the same job at the same time, just so there's less pressure on us and we can enjoy what we do. Now we're done with the foiling, now it's on to the fibreglass. Like the rest of the body, we're going over this hair with more than one layer of fibreglass, so here we've just put a slight tinge of black into it, just to see where we've gone over when we're adding our second layer. When the resin's gone off, because you can still see the strand in the mat, we go over with sandpapers and soft scourers and just rub down the surface, before we apply a soft filler on top. This is a process which we often repeat more than once, where we add the filler, rub it back, add it, rub it back again, until we get the surface finish that we really want. When this process was done, we sent an image to the client to keep them up to date on our progress, and to discuss how the next stage should look with colour and the added wings. They replied with an extended version of our picture shown here, and we bounced around ideas of how the scaffolding legs would be held in place in both the body and down at the feet, bearing in mind we needed to leave space for a tube to be inserted for the custard hose. We considered options such as installing internal sleeves for the scaffolding, but in the end we left it up to the site team to position the bird wherever they wanted on the day and install their own metalwork to meet their own requirements. We thought this was the best option all round, and our client agreed. So we left them a large trapdoor at the back of the bird to grant them easy access to the internal space so that they could set up whatever structure they thought necessary. We went over the whole bird with a few different layers of yellow until the client was happy with the colour, as they wanted all the artwork to match the tones and shades that are usually associated with their company palette. This darker shade that Aden's going over with now was the final colour the client wanted. These extra layers of paint also made sure that if the bird was bumped into or knocked, the layers of paint beneath would still show up in yellow, making it less noticeable but also still easy to fix. For transportation purposes, we covered the whole bird in bubble wrap and ensured that it was nice and secure so as not to roll around and get damaged, as we wouldn't be available on site to make minor repairs. We took some final images at the workshop, as you can see Aden being silly here, and here are the members of the Sculpture Studios team that worked on the project. We then left it up to Hungry Castle to take the bird and set it up however they wished, in the hope that they'd take some great shots when it's all complete. Here are a few of their images of the bird being appreciated over the secret garden party weekend. There was a huge slide set up between the bird's legs where the custard sprayed out and the public slid down, and it created a messy and interactive feature for the event. The whole weekend looked like a lot of fun, and we really hope the public enjoyed it. We'd like to thank Dave and Maria here especially for contacting us, and it would be great to work with Hungry Castle again. Whatever the size and however silly, any project is always appreciated here at Sculpture Studios. Thank you very much for watching.